Chapter 4. Fall from Power. After the Greeks beat Persia, many Greek city-states joined together. They agreed to protect each other. This alliance was known as the Delian League. Delian League members contributed ships or money to the League. They kept the money in the Delian League treasury. People in Athens began taking the League's money. Athens's government made decisions for the League. Athens used the money to build temples and new colonies. Athens built a large and powerful empire throughout the Mediterranean. The Peloponnesian War. For many years, Sparta and Athens were rivals. The two city-states did not trust each other. Athens wanted to spread democracy, freedom, and self-rule. Sparta was afraid that Athens's power would reach too far. Other Greek city-states also were unhappy with Athens. They were upset that Athens was taking money from the Delian League. In 431 BC, Sparta declared war on Athens. For 27 years, Athens and Sparta and their allies fought in the Peloponnesian War. Athens finally surrendered in 404 BC. Alexander the Great. In 359 BC, Philip II became the king of Macedonia. Philip wanted to rule the Persian Empire. He asked the Greeks to help him defeat Persia. In return, he would let them govern themselves. In 336 BC, before Philip could organize an attack on Persia, he was killed. His son Alexander became king at age 20. A strong military leader, he became known as Alexander the Great. Coin featuring Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great. This statue was created between the 1st and 2nd centuries BC. In 334 BC, Alexander led an army of Macedonians and Greeks. They attacked Persia. In 3 years, he defeated the Persian king. Alexander's army later conquered Egypt, western Persia, and western India. He also conquered the countries now known as Afghanistan and Pakistan. Alexander founded many military colonies in the lands he conquered. These settlements helped provide supplies to his armies. After his death in 323 BC, Alexander's generals fought to control his empire. They divided Greece into 3 kingdoms. The Hellenistic Age. The Greek language was spoken in Alexander's colonies. The colonists copied Greek architecture, law, and art. They studied Greek science and philosophy. The most famous city Alexander founded was Alexandria, Egypt. It became the world's most important center of trade and learning. After Alexander's death, the power of the Greek city-states faded. But the rulers of Greek kingdoms promoted Greek culture. Elements of Greek culture spread from southern present-day France to what is now northern Afghanistan. This period is known as the Hellenistic Age. The Roman Empire. Around 275 BC, the Romans defeated the Hellenistic King Pyrrhus in Italy. Rome gradually took over other kingdoms. It conquered Sicily in 241 BC and Spain in 201 BC. Rome began conquering other areas. By 31 BC, Rome defeated the last Greek kingdom. It was the end of the Hellenistic Age. This statue of the goddess Athena is an example of art from the Hellenistic Age. After conquering the Greeks, the Roman Empire grew. The Romans adopted the best ideas of the people they conquered. The Romans used Greek styles in literature and architecture. They modeled many public buildings after Greek temples. The Romans based their government on some of Greece's democratic ideas. Rome fell in the AD 400s. The Visigoths, a tribe from Germany in northern Europe, defeated the last Roman emperor. Rome's influence faded. Europeans once again took interest in Greek culture in the AD 1400s and 1500s. This period was known as the Renaissance. Classical ideas of ancient Greece influenced artists, writers, and architects. For 300 years after the Renaissance, Europe developed colonies around the world. The Europeans spread these classical ideas to the colonies. Greek culture continued to thrive. Chapter 5. Lasting Achievements. The ancient Greeks made lasting contributions to art, architecture, science, and medicine. They also developed drama, literature, and philosophy. Their ideas still influence the modern world. Architecture and art. The Greeks built many structures that still stand today. Temples are the most famous of their buildings. Most of the temples have a similar design. The buildings are rectangular with columns holding up the sloping roof. Modern architects base many of their designs on Greek styles. Greek influence. Part of Roman Emperor Hadrian's villa uses Greek columns. Greek water jug from 530 BC, showing women filling vases at a fountain. The most famous example of Greek architecture is the Parthenon. Completed in 432 BC, this temple honored the goddess Athena. She was the goddess of war and wisdom. The Greeks created their own forms of sculpture, pottery, and painting. They were the first to sculpt human statues in a natural style. Greek statues usually showed perfect bodies. Earlier statues had looked stiff and unnatural. Athenians made the most valued pottery of the ancient Western world. They painted their pots with pictures of gods, heroes, and ordinary people. Greek artists decorated buildings with beautiful paintings called frescoes. These wall paintings on plaster showed scenes from Greek myths. Science and medicine. Ancient Greeks were among the first to use logic to explain the world around them. They wanted to discover the reasons why things worked. Anaxagoras was an early Greek astronomer. He learned that the moon did not make its own light. Instead, Anaxagoras believed that the moon's light was a reflection from the sun. Archimedes was an inventor and mathematician. He discovered the principle of a lever. Archimedes created a complicated set of levers and pulleys. He used them to lift a large ship from water to land by himself. Hippocrates was a Greek doctor. He is often called the father of medicine. He developed the Hippocratic Oath, a promise to heal the sick. Today, many medical students take this oath when they become doctors. Sculptures of women support the roof on this porch of the Erechtheum, a temple on the Acropolis in Athens. Archimedes. Parthenon, the most famous example of Greek architecture. Drama and literature. The ancient Greeks created drama. The earliest Greek plays were religious ceremonies. A chorus sang and acted out stories about the gods. Later, dramas told legends of Greek heroes. Many plays were about gods. Other plays told about the Persian Wars. The Greeks were the Western world's first writers of history. Around 450 BC, Herodotus explored the Mediterranean region. He wrote long reports of wars, geography, customs, and legends. Herodotus is often called the father of history. Aesop is one of the most famous Greek writers. Historians believe Aesop was a Greek slave who had been freed. In the 500s BC, Aesop wrote hundreds of fables. These short stories about animals taught a lesson. Aesop's fables include The Tortoise and the Hare and The Fox and the Grapes. Many of Aesop's fables are still told today. Philosophy. Early Greek philosophers studied life, death, and other mysteries of the natural world. Socrates was the most famous philosopher from Athens. He was one of the first to study ethics. He taught students by asking questions rather than giving them answers. This teaching method is now known as the Socratic method. Menander with theatrical masks.